Hello, everyone, and good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to another episode of the Spotlight series here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. I'm your host, Gabriel Garcia. Many of you know me as the Wandering Scribe and the Wandering Quill. And joining us today is our first narrator spotlight for the month of June. Now, this individual is a narrator, voice actor, singer, has a YouTube channel. She is also going to be a part of the Human Voices Only movement, which is coming out June 26th. And for those who do not know, that is a huge event where authors and narrators come together to promote human first content, snippets of books, snippets of poems, all of that and more. And in this special spotlight teaser, we're going to be doing a fan question special. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a huge round of applause to our guest today, voice actor, narrator, and singer, Micaela. Micaela, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, excellent. Excellent, Micaela. So I'm so excited to have you here. And first off, I want to say, love the mic you got. I
Oh,
absolutely love it.
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And is that like your mic that you use for your recording sessions?
This is not, I do live stream, so this is my live streaming setup. I record in that closet back there. So I
Of
have another
course.
mic. Yeah, I have another mic that I use that's in my booth, but I do really like this one.
That is a very nice one. It has that old kind of 1920s, 1940s feel to it.
Yes, that's what I love about it. I love that style of microphone.
Nice. Well, Micaela, again, I'm so excited to have you here on the show and to also feature and spotlight you and your talent. So let's actually dive right into that. So, can you give us a little background overview of your expertise?
Sure. Well, I've been on stage from a very young age singing. My mom used to dress us up in matching outfits and we used to sing all over the place growing up. And then I ended up getting into musical theater later in life. Like in high school, did a lot of community theater projects on stage, which I very much enjoyed. And I've always been fascinated with the world of voiceover from a young age. I think around like 13, specifically like animation.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I've toyed around with it for a long time, and I just recently like started pursuing it back in February,
Ooh.
doing audiobook narration. So I'm currently recording my third audiobook at the moment. So still
Nice.
rather new, but it's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And for our viewers and listeners, and possibly authors in the audience, what are some of the genres you like to work in?
I primarily focus in the romance genre, is the one I like the most. But I'm also very interested. I mean, I'm an avid reader. I love fantasy, thrillers. So I'm really open to any genre, really. But primarily romance is what I've been doing the most of.
All righty, all righty. And some of those are actually going to touch on some of the fan questions I have for this incredible spotlight. So let's actually dive right into our first fan question. And all these fan questions are anonymous from all of my viewers and listeners, and also from my website as well. That's how they send it to me. So the first fan question from one of my viewers would like to know, what is your routine when it comes to narration? Are you more of a morning person or an evening person?
Um, I try to do it during the day, but it just depends on all the noise that's going on outside.
That
So
is true.
I am not a morning person, but I try to give myself like a solid routine. So, wake up in the morning, have my coffee. I always do warm ups beforehand, and I'm constantly drinking water, have some throat coat tea with me in the booth. Those are definitely essentials for me when
Nice.
recording.
Awesome. And I think you're the second person that's also mentioned the tea as well. I've had another narrator on the show that said, like, there's like this, not only hidden tea, but there's this special tea that narrators drink, like, help soothe their throats. And it's
Yeah.
like, that can't be a thing. It's like, nope, apparently it is a thing.
Yep, it's specifically called throat coat. You could get it at any grocery store, but it's very nice. It's very lubricating. It's very good for your cords. So, highly recommend if it's something you're thinking about getting into, invest in some throat coat.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also on the topic of investing, one of
Mhm.
my viewers would like to know when it comes to setup quality, how much research did you really do to find not only the microphone that worked best, as well as the other equipment? Because a lot of my friends in the narration world all agree that not every mic is the same, and there are certain
Mhm.
mics that work better than others.
Yeah, so I think it all comes down to your budget and what you're able to invest in. It's just the same with anything. You can start off very small. I know some people literally have like blanket forts and they just throw a blanket over themselves and record because that's the space that they've got. Um, but I did quite a bit of research and trial and error before I invested. I use the Shure KSM 27. That's the mic that I use for recording. And I use a Scarlett Solo interface. So, I mean, the main things that you really need to focus on are your soundproofing in your space. Um, because you can have the best microphone in the world, but if you're not properly proofed, then it's going to sound like crap. Um,
Absolutely.
so, and I mean, the best thing you can do is just like blankets, big heavy blankets, um, pillows, those kinds of things. And then a lot of people use the Rode NT1. That's a really good starter mic for most people. It's around $150 to $200 range. An interface and a computer. I mean, that's really all you need in headphones. So it's definitely important to kind of try to figure stuff out. But like I said, I record in a closet. A lot of people record in closets because
Absolutely.
they're already kind of proofed. And if you've got clothes in there, that's even better. That adds to your soundproofing. So,
That is very true, Michaela. That is very true. I cannot tell you how many times I've had people on the show, specifically narrators, who have done their interviews from their closet. It is the
mhm.
one space that is, soundproof. And it's just so crazy. It's absolutely so funny. It's either a closet or it's an outdoor shed. I think there was one
Yeah,
person I've had that was in like their shed that they made just for recording stations, which is absolutely awesome, absolutely
yeah.
incredible, and you kind of get a little peek into how they decorate too. That's also really cool as well.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of narrators like to decorate their space with like pretty lights and stuff because we live in the booth. Like
Yes,
you have to, and that's the thing too, is like you got to be prepared. Like if you're like a claustrophobic like person, maybe practice in a small space reading for a long amount of time to see if it's something that you can handle. I know people too, they call it like a blanket fort where they build like a little thing out of PVC and hang moving blankets all the way
mhm,
around. A lot of people do that as well. So that's a little more cost effective method. But like I said, if you got a closet and you got the space and you can clean it out a little bit and add a little proofing, you're good to go.
absolutely, absolutely. So now let's talk a little bit more about characters.
Mm.
Now, one starting fan question one of my viewers would like to know is, when playing characters in either a solo narration or possibly in a group narration, how do you, Michaela, make them feel real and not just lines read in a booth?
Mm. I mean, I think it all comes down to like as an actor, you need to kind of like understand your character. So a part of what we do as audiobook narrators is that we read the book first. It's called the prep stage. You're prepping your manuscript. So I think a way to know your characters is to try to get a feel of who they are, right? Like what their personalities are and who they are. Because it's not just about like doing crazy kooky voices, it's about understanding the depths of your character. You know, like what are their motivations? Why are they doing the things that they're doing? Why are they speaking the way that they speak? Right. So that all comes down to your prep, getting ready to do your characters, to not have them sound wooden or like you don't know what you're talking about. Now, there are people who can just read a book cold. That is very it's not the norm. Like you've got
Mm.
like the Ray Porters of the world who just
Oh
like
yes.
he cold read Project Hail Mary, right? Which is crazy that he did that. But it's just but I think to give yourself the best leg up, really prep your characters, go through them. I literally like write out lists and I'll write out like character traits as I'm reading the novel to get an idea of who this person is.
Absolutely. Very well said, Michaela. And for those who don't know, Ray Porter, he is an accomplished voice actor. And for those who have seen him in film, he was also the voice of Darkseid in the director's cut of Justice League. And trust me, you can definitely hear the voice of Ray Porter when he speaks as Darkseid. But there's a little slight tangent there. But absolutely, you said, Michaela, is 100% correct that a lot of narrators and voice actors like to get a feel for the characters to
Mm,
really understand who they are, their personality, everything, their backstory. And that kind of leads into the follow up fan question, which is a two-parter. One of
okay.
my viewers would like to know, of all the lines you have read from all the books you've been a part of, what was probably your favorite piece of dialogue that you've said? And secondly, what was the one line or word that you could not say to save your life? Because there are moments that I've had with other guests that have said there was one line or a word they could not say in a recording booth, even though they can say it normally when they're not recording.
Oh gosh. That's hard because it's like picking from like your favorite child. Um uh there was in this my previous book that I just recorded, Phantom by Laura DeLuca. Oh man. There was a really good kind of like monologue moment where our MMC, our male main character, he is really like hurt and devastated. There's a really good monologue. I really enjoyed recording that. And later on in the book, because it's a mystery, uh, when the villain is revealed, there's some really fun lines in there from the
Ooh,
villain.
okay.
Yeah, that I really enjoyed. So I guess kind of like between those two. With the words that are hard to say, anything with like a THS, I really struggle with. And the word particularly,
Ooh, okay.
that's a tough one. That is a tough one.
All right, all right. Now let's kind of stay in this world a little bit. Let's talk about characters that you've performed as. Is there a character that you absolutely fell in love with that instantly, made sense for you? And was there
Hmm.
a character that probably took the longest to either get a feeling for or to get their voice right?
Mm. I would probably say, like I said in my previous book that I just did, Justin Justin Patko, he was fun to dive into and kind of understand, and I felt like he clicked pretty quickly. Um, Along with the female main character Rebecca, I felt like I really understood her motivations and the type of person that she was. Um, so both of those characters I really enjoyed playing. Voices that were difficult in the current book I'm working on, Realm of the Fae by S.J. Kadile. It's a romantasy, so there's a lot of male characters in the book. Um, and I think one of the ones, Valen was a difficult one to kind of like get in his head and figure out what his voice is going to be like for
Hmm.
me. Because he is very like guarded and there's a lot of baggage there with him. So trying to find that voice and talking with the author and discussing, we kind of came up with an idea. So I kind of see him as like a Severus Snape, like Alan Rickman Severus Snape kind of
Ooh, okay.
character. Yeah. So it's like whenever I'm doing his voice, I'm kind of like imagining like picturing Alan Rickman in my head as Severus Snape. So
All righty, all righty. I like it. I like it. Now, this next fan question kind of hits close to home for a lot of narrators I've had on the show. And this fan question is, can you give us your thoughts on the rise of AI narration in the
mm.
voice acting and narrating world?
I mean, I think it's one of those things like we know that it's here, right? I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. But for me, and I think a lot of other narrators, it's important to, and people who create art in general, right? It's important to bring awareness and try our best to combat it as much as we can. Um, because I think at the end of the day, I don't think that humans are ever going to stop creating art. It's just is so innately human. Um, but I think at the end of the day, it's one of those things. It's like we need to support each other and encourage each other. And I think that's what's so important about the Human Voices Only movement is to just kind of highlight, be like, hey, yeah, these are here, but like listen to what a human can do, right? Maybe this is quick and fast and easy, right? Um, but at what cost? Like, what are you losing when you use an AI voice as opposed to a human voice?
Absolutely, very true. And I've talked to a lot of authors on the show who have, shared their own concerns on the other side. And there are some points I can't agree that, especially for indie authors wanting to work with narrators to do like a full audiobook production of their work. It's not easy. It is very, very expensive, especially if you're doing, let's say, dual narrator, a full production. It's a lot of money. And I've always firmly believed that narrators and voice actors should be paid what their worth is for a project. Absolutely. And I think for authors, we do want to do that. And there have been, those that I have seen who have used AI narration for their audiobooks only because it was cheaper.
Right.
But what I've always now kind of been pushing to is if you can't get a narrator to voice the full book, hire them for a snippet or for a short
Mm-hmm.
story. And that's what I've always done with all of my books is I get all the narrators that I've had, that I've met over the years, and just build with them because that only works as teasers. It also helps them because it may be a genre that they're maybe not familiar with. And that goes into another fan question, Micaela. One of my viewers would like to know what was probably the one snippet you've gotten for Human Voices Only that really pushed you out of your comfort zone?
To be honest, it's probably yours. You provided a very nice little snippet, but it's like I mean, it's an intense moment, right, between these two
Oh,
characters.
what snippet did I send? I've sent a
Uh,
lot.
it's the one where Azrael and Darian are fighting, and
Oh,
where
yes.
where he's rescuing Arya. Yeah, so that's a pretty intense one for me. And two, they're both males, so it's like kind of like getting in that headspace.
Oh, yes. That is a good one. That is a good one. I cannot tell you how many times I've loved working on snippets from Michael because there's so many, many good scenes. Oh gosh,
Hmm.
I completely forgotten about that.
Yeah, but I love it. I love a challenge. It's gonna be fun to to get in there and record that. So,
Awesome. All righty. Now let's actually change gears to talk about, your singing background as well.
mm,
Now, one of my viewers would also like to know, and this I had to comb through the archives to find this question because this was a very, very old fan question back in the day. This person would like to know how much of your singing mindset and discipline transferred over to your narrating and voice acting career.
like 100% of it translates for me. Like when I do my warm-ups, I literally do vocal warm-ups, like singing vocal warm-ups, to get myself in that zone. And I also use diaphragmatic breathing when I am narrating. to kind of help like eliminate some of those like gaspy breaths that you can get while you're narrating. So very much like I feel like it translates very well. I know a lot of voiceover artists will also take like singing lessons
Mm.
because it is different, like the way that you speak when you're just talking normally is different than how you sing, but I think you can use those tools to benefit you and to keep your voice like healthy, like using those techniques. It's really important to warm up and cool down for the day when you're recording.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, this is another one which I also think is a pretty cool and neat one. And I'm going to give some context for this question. So, as I've had mentioned, I've had a lot of good narrators on the show, like Amber M, Daphne Winters. Well, want to have Heather, Brittany, Lauren, Ethan Gray, Sammy Rowe, and many, many more. And some of them have talked about, if I remember in passing, about doing singing narration, either a song in the book or making an original song for the audiobook. Now,
Mhm.
since you do have a background as a singer, I'm wondering for you, if you were given the option, would you like to sing a song that was already written inside the book, or work with the author or authors to develop an original song to be added to the audiobook production?
Mm, that is a really good question. I mean, it would be super cool, like if music was incorporated in some capacity into their book, it would be super cool to work with an author to create like an original song, like I guess like an extra like snippet or something to include in the book just to make it more immersive. That would be super cool.
All
So
right.
sorry, she likes to be.
Oh no, it wouldn't be a Wandering Scribe episode if there wasn't an animal involved. I cannot tell you, Michaela, how many times cats, dogs, or a mix of both have appeared on the show. So this is
Yes.
perfect.
This is Navani. She's my sidekick.
Love it, love it. And also, there's another fan question because one of my viewers actually sent this to me. Is also, you are a fellow content creator. You have your own YouTube channel.
Mhm.
So, can you share us, what that has been like for you as a YouTuber now, in addition to being a voice actor, a narrator, and a singer, all of these combined?
Um, I mean, it's just a lot of fun. Like I've met so many cool people by doing the social media stuff. Like on Instagram and TikTok and especially YouTube. Like I said, I'm a live streamer, so I've been live streaming for a few years now. On a gaming channel where I play video games. And it's just wild, like the connections that you can make by doing this stuff. It's really, really cool.
That is very true. That is awesome and amazing. So we have a few final questions that I do want to ask you before we wrap up. Now, these questions I like to call the rapid fire fan questions. So these are going to be very, very quick. So we'll start with the first one. As a fellow creative, which do you prefer in stories, themes or tropes?
Themes, I would say.
Nice. Second question. Of the tropes that we see in a lot of fiction and media, which is the most overused and which is the one that is undervalued?
Ooh. Uh Tropes that are overused. I think the miscommunication trope. Which I
Ooh, that's a good one. We haven't had that. We've had
Yeah.
enemies to lovers, but not
Mhm.
miscommunication. That's a good one.
Mhm. Undervalued trope. That's a tricky one. Trying to think. I don't know, honestly.
I would say for me, the one that gets undervalued, but it's slowly rising, is Found Family.
Ah, yeah. I would have to agree. That's a good one. I love a found family story.
That is true. That is very true. All right, now this one's another one. This is a specific narrator question. As a narrator, which do you find to be the most difficult in terms of the five senses? Which do you find to be the most challenging as a narrator to emulate in a recording booth?
Um, maybe maybe smell. I guess that one's not really utilized. I mean, it is to some degree, but maybe smell. That might be because a lot of times, like you talk about, touching and you're talking, but smell is not really one.
All right, all
Yeah.
right. Now, here is, oh, I love this one. Okay, now this goes back to the previous questions about characters. Now, of the
Mm.
characters you have voiced and brought to life, if they had a theme song, what would their theme song be?
Uh, well, there's a lot of characters. Do you want me just to do like pick one?
Let's say, like, maybe the top three.
The top three. Um, so what of like the mean girls in the book that I just read? I think she would probably be like a Barbie girl or like
Oh,
California girls, right?
right.
I'd say that'd be one. Um, Another one would be like for Justin, he's like this goth. He's a goth. So I'd say probably like Black Parade,
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
something like that. Um, let me see one more. Um, I'd say for Rebecca, she would probably have like some kind of classical, like musical theater song. So I'd probably say something like Think of Me from Phantom of the Opera. That'd be a good one for
Ooh,
Rebecca. Yeah.
that's a good one. I don't think I've ever had that one mentioned on the show. All right, all right.
Mhm.
Now here is the next one. Now I tweaked this one a little bit. So we all know that a lot of books sometimes do get audiobooks like the Harry Potters, and they get like actors, Broadway performers, and more. But
Mhm.
if you were approached by a best-selling author, an award-winning author that has been, let's say, either adapted into multiple other medias, let's say limited series, television, or film, or even a video game, and they approached you to be a part of their audiobook lineup of the many narrators attached to it, what would that book be?
Okay, and it's like open to anything. The first thing that comes to mind is like Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know
Ooh,
I don't know what I would do, but I would love to be something. Like make me a villain, make me like Tav. I don't know. I would love to do that. That would be so fun.
that would be awesome. That would be in Baldur's Gate 3. Shout out to Baldur's Gate 3. It's an amazing game, amazing storytelling, and so many memorable moments. I haven't played the game myself, but I had a lot of
Mhm.
friends who played it and they absolutely love it. Some crazy stuff happens in that game. Well, depending on the player, I should say. Depending on the
Yes.
player.
Yeah. So good. Actually, Asterian's getting a book. He's getting an audiobook by the voice actor that voiced him. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, that would be
Awesome.
good. And then of course, like uh I would love to do some like rom-coms. I just recently listened to an Emily Henry book. Um that would definitely be like a dream to narrate one of her books because it's so good.
All righty, all righty. Now we have two final questions. Now, this question I've had to tinker with a little bit because I think it is very, very important, and that is regards to, for lack of a better term, oh, I would say smut
Ah.
narration for narrators that work in like 18 plus books. And I've talked
Mhm.
to a lot of narrators in passing about this, and they've given, their thoughts in it. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on this too, Micaela, because from what I've heard on the grapevine, narrators or voice actors that specialize in books that are considered smut, it's kind of like, I don't want to say like a scarlet letter, but it's almost like I don't know, it's like this weird kind of teeter-totter incident.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So kind of like I mean, I don't personally narrate at this point. I haven't narrated any spicy books, any
Right.
smut, but it's very common for a lot of narrators who do narrate the spice, those saucy books, is they have a pseudonym. So they
Yes.
operate under a pseudonym. Um, which I think is a good delineator for especially authors. If you're researching a narrator or somebody that you want to do and you want to stay away from someone who has recorded books like that for a variety of reasons, a lot of narrators choose to have a separate pseudonym for that kind of stuff compared to like cleaner works that they do. Um, so I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, I think it can be stigmatized, right, about like narrating spicy books, but clearly they're selling. They sell
Mhm.
very well. so
Yes.
so I
Yes, they
understand why
do.
people do it, but it all comes down to the narrator and what they feel comfortable with. But I'm not gonna look down on somebody just because they decided they're choosing to narrate uh an erotic book, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's I think a very important thing. And I actually met some of some of the narrators that I've mentioned before who have had other pseudonyms who do that, and it allows them in a way creative flow and expertise because it's not their main
Mm-hmm.
identity. It's like another pseudonym that they have a little bit more freedom and creativity to explore. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it just opens you up because I mean, it adds that anonymity, right? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, and some people just like, they have pseudonyms, but they just, are like, hey, this is me. And then this is my pseudonym, right? So it just depends on the person and what they feel comfortable with. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think there's any issue with it.
Awesome. And as our final fan question before we wrap up this incredible spotlight interview, Micaela, one of my viewers would like to know, and I think you kind of mentioned this earlier in the beginning, but for the aspiring voice actors and narrators listening to this interview, what would be your word of wisdom, your first step, so to speak, for those who want to get into this industry? Where would you have them start?
I mean, if you're looking for audiobooks, the easiest and quickest way is ACX. That's the first place you can look. There's plenty of options, especially for authors out there. If that's something that you're concerned about, not being able to upfront pay for the cost of a per finished hour book, there are royalty share options on ACX, and that's the same for narrators. So I think that's the big thing is if you want to get started, make a profile. Even if you don't do anything with it, just make one, have it there ready to go, and then do your research. I mean, find community. There's plenty of people out there, myself included. We're happy to talk with you about how to get started. Plenty of videos on YouTube. Oh my gosh, so much free
Yes.
information and resources. And that's the good thing about this community is that the people are incredibly kind, very giving, and very helpful. So if you're nervous about it, go out, learn, but don't go crazy on procrastinating and then never do it. you know,
Right.
get your information in, learn what you need to do because the only way you're really going to learn is by doing. So, once you've got your stuff, you've got your basics, like I said, a mic, your interface, a computer, a space to record, right? Go crazy. find something you're interested in. You know, I know some people that audition for everything. That's what one thing in the group that I'm in that the guy that's running it tells us all the time. It's like that actually auditioning is your job, right? You need to think of it like that auditioning is your job, because you're going to audition for a ton of things and you're only going to get a small fraction of it. So be prepared for that as well, and just let it roll off, you know, audition and then let it go. And if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, that's okay. You learn something from the process. So that's what I would, that would be my advice, is to go out, find a community, learn, and then just jump in, because it's a lot of fun.
Well said, Micaela. Well said. And on that note, viewers and listeners, we conclude this incredible narrator spotlight here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. I want to give a huge thank you to our guest, Micaela, for coming on the show, making her official debut. Now, Micaela, where can people find you on social media if they want to reach out and connect, as well as purchase the audiobooks that you're associated with?
Yes. So I'm all over the internet, specifically TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, under Micaela Harper VO. All my names are the same, so you can check me out there. If you'd like to check out my gaming stuff, I'm Mystic Mickey on YouTube and Twitch. You can hang out with me there, play a lot of fun, cool games. And what was the other question? I'm sorry.
Of course. What are some of the projects that you've mentioned before that
Yes.
we can find them on the internet?
Yes. So currently it's in the QA phase, but Phantom by Laura DeLuca is coming, I would say probably sometime early July at this point. So it's about to go live on Audible. I have another book tomorrow, maybe also on Audible. And currently I'm working on Realm of the Fae by S.J. Kadile. It's a romantasy, and it will also be up on Audible. So that's where you can find me for now.
Nice. I will link all that down below in the description of this video, ladies and gentlemen. And if you'd like to see Micaela back on the show in a full narrator interview or in a Writers Hub special narrator edition, where Micaela breaks down an aspect of the narration process, the voice acting process, you know what you have to do. Like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank everyone for joining us for another amazing episode here on the show. A huge thank you to Micaela. We wish her the very best. And again, this will not be the last time you see her on the show, so be on the lookout for her future episode coming soon. And until next time, this is the Wandering Scribe and the Wandering Quill signing out. Wish you all a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Happy Friday, everybody, and take care. Have a wonderful day.